When I look at that and I think of what our team is building and growing, continue to have some great opportunities, it's humbling, but also it's processes, systems. Things are firing on all cylinders, even if the industry is not seeing that type of growth. We've also picked it up a notch. So we're doing life insurance training specifically on all the resources we have. So we got trainings for life insurance, trainings for our wealth platform. We got amazing carrier partners that'll do some trainings in New York and other places across the country. So great opportunity. And so once the advisors are starting to elevate their game to just only really focusing on what they're good at, which is doing the sales work, and possibly, some advisors are unique. They could actually do some marketing too. So they're putting themselves out there. They're doing social media. They're conducting videos. They're doing podcast episodes. They're putting things in place to where they can multiply. I mean, it took me 35 minutes to basically just copy, paste, put it into the template. And just like that, it's like I have an actual brochure of what we are. And that in the past has cost people hundreds of thousands of dollars to do.
Systems work, people fail. Welcome to InsureMark's Advisor Mentorship Podcast with Vice President Jeremy Hauser.
Jeremy Hauser's podcast is always informative and practical, in part because he has so many interesting guests. But sometimes it's fun to hear from the man himself. So it's check-in time, Jeremy. And how has the year progressed for Team Jeremy? Oh, wait. How is your 2025 running goal?
Oh, man, pun intended. Or I guess you did say running goal. I thought you said, how's it running? Sorry. So we are cruising. I'm going to tell you right now, Houston, Texas is hot. It is very, very hot. But we are definitely ahead of schedule. So I did a lot of mileage the first quarter. Second quarter did roughly about the same amount. We're not done with second quarter yet, but we're at through May. My goal for the year was 1,000 miles of running. So that was about 36% or I think 38% more mileage this year than what I did previous year. So 1,000 miles was the goal. And through May, I'm currently at 520 miles. So we are well north of halfway there, but I'm not lying. I mean, May was the first month for the year that I did not complete 100 miles. So I've started to do a little more of the going to the gym and actually working out now that school's out, have a little more flexibility to go there in the morning. So I did about 80 miles in May, but June, it's literally wake up. It's about 82 degrees, even at like 5 in the morning, 5:15. It's tough. So it's a little more challenging to get those 6 mile plus runs in. So you can feel it by mile 3 or 4.
Wow.
But we're cruising.
All right. Well, now that we know that you are doing well, what about your advisors? How's Team Jeremy doing?
Yeah, so business is going well. Advisors are doing good. Interesting enough, so last year, I probably mentioned it earlier this year on one of the episodes of the podcast. So last year was a record-breaking year. The team did an amazing job. The industry boomed as well too. Our team was up 48% in 2024 from previous year of 2023. So these advisors are hardworking, growing, scaling, doing all the amazing things. Now this year, what's interesting is quarter one. So we at least have those numbers through quarter one. And not only for our team, but also the industry. So our team actually has grown year over year from last year's quarter, 15%. So we are actually on goal right now to have an even better year than last year, which I'm pretty excited about. April was our top. So my 14-year career here, I actually just celebrated that recently at Simplicity InsureMark. So in April was the number one month for our advisors within my team of actual paid business. So things are definitely trending in the right direction. A lot of systems and processes obviously are working well. But one thing that I thought was interesting, literally as we were prepping for this episode, a recent study came out. And so for quarter one, so our team that was up 15% year over year from last year, you obviously probably have no idea what these numbers are, but what do you think? So last
I'll
year,
nod as if I do.
huge number last year for this industry that grew based off of someone who's outside of our industry, everything that's going on in the marketplace. What do you think how do you think the industry is doing?
Right now?
Yeah, based off quarter one's reporting. So if our industry did over 37% growth last year of our industry, how do you think 2025 is set up so far, first quarter?
I think it got out of the gate really well, but I would think it's probably slowed.
Fair assessment from someone who's not in our experience or our business here. Yeah, so we actually the FIA space, so fixed index annuity space, was actually down 5%.
Oh, I didn't think it would be a negative. I just thought it'd be, down.
Yeah. And when I look at that and I think of what our team is building and growing, continue to have some great opportunities. It's humbling, but also it's processes, systems. Things are firing on all cylinders, even if the industry is not seeing that type of growth. So it's always worth noting. It's always easy to look for like, all right, what's next? What's next? But you got to reflect and realize like, hey, something special is happening here. And yeah, pretty cool. So that's where we're at right now.
Well, what else do you think is helping your guys and gals do this?
So a couple things I would say. One that stands out is we do a lot of trainings. So obviously the advisors that we work with, I have these monthly mastermind calls that they sit on. They have an opportunity to share best practices with one another, advisors that work with us, although might not be part of our AMP group, the 15 advisors that are sharing, they get to actually listen in to the recordings. But for simplicity in general, we have a lot of live trainings out in Minneapolis, Arizona. We have trainings for anything from just advanced sales training for sales, helping processes and systems, what I call to a lot of advisors, man in the mirror, woman in the mirror type of training. So just really, you got to get past the man in the mirror. Got to really just focus internally first before you can help start to attract what you want to attract. So that training has been phenomenal for all the advisors that attend. They actually go multiple times to this training for advanced sales training. But we've also picked it up a notch. So we're doing life insurance training specifically on all the resources we have. So we got trainings for life insurance, trainings for our wealth platform. We got amazing carrier partners that'll do some trainings in New York and other places across the country. So great opportunity, even though we're in a more virtual world nowadays, being more efficient and not everybody likes to travel as much, but it's good to break away for a day or two, just to reset, meet some other individuals that do what you do, maybe in a different area, and just get a couple of ideas, bring it back to your practice. And we've found that just continuing to share best practices and put these advisors in a place for success and training, that's helped. And can't lie. I mean, obviously, Liberation Day in April, that didn't hurt. So we've actually saw a lot of advisors who had communication going out to their clients, to prospects, talking about market volatility. So there was definitely, you probably saw it, Patrice. What did you think was happening in April, or do you even pay attention to news on market volatility?
April was so long ago.
Exactly.
I don't remember.
But do you remember for about 5 days to 10 days, like this was going to be the next
We were
Great
all over the
Depression?
place.
This is,
It was up and down and up and down.
but the fear, right? Just like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, it's coming. And then, you just like fall asleep for a month and you look back up and all of a sudden everything's back to where it was. It's crazy. So just advisors being proactive, communicating, because clients are hearing so many messages. There's so much noise out there. So advisors that take advantage of technology, leveraging some of the systems we have in place to just have some form of communication, video marketing, it definitely helped them out. We saw a lot of advisors have some uptick in not just business, but also they saw some new business from prospects who actually were maybe sitting on the fence in the first quarter that decided to move forward. So that helped. Like I said, leveraging technology, AI, so many different things. And really what I would say, going back to that man in the mirror, woman in the mirror thing I talk about a lot on some of these podcasts, from our advanced sales training event itself, a lot of my advisors have really started to hone in on books and just like listening to audible books in the car, just growth minded books. So it's the training's one thing, but then it's what do you do after the training? And so a lot of them, we put them on a path of some great books to listen to really help out with just working on the man, working on the woman first before you can go out, hire new people and really attract who you're trying to do business with. Have you ever written an annuity case and it took not only days, maybe weeks or months to get the funds transferred from another insurance carrier? That is one of the biggest pains in our industry, and we may have a solution for you with a particular carrier. Remember North American, the company that is 139 years old and holds an A+ rating with AM Best, S&P, and Fitch. Also, the carrier that has the Secure Horizon suite of FIAs, which was awarded Deal of the Year in 2024 by SRP Americas. Oh yeah, that company. Well, they now have a cutting edge technology that is paperless and just made business a lot more simple around transfers and 1035 exchanges. This process goes a little like this. If they request a 1035 exchange from another carrier within 24 to 48 hours, that carrier through the DTCC platform must process that request and feed those funds digitally to North American. You heard that right. No more having to hear from the transfer company, we didn't get the paperwork, or we're in the process of manually entering that request, and also no more conservation efforts. So, what does that mean for you as a writing advisor or agent? First of all, no more headaches because of emails or calls back and forth with the carriers. And more importantly, business gets issued faster, and that means you get paid commissions that much quicker. If you're interested in finding out which carriers are currently participating and which ones will be following soon, go to www.insuremarkamp.com/Jeremy and click on Learn More.
What are some of the books? You know them offhand?
I do actually. I have a top five. I have it right here for you. So this is actually the 5 books going into 2025 that the advisors that would do business planning calls with us. This is in order also of the recommendation. So, and some of these advisors have actually gone through at least 2 of them. Some of them are close to their 5th one already. So the first book is Courage to be Disliked. That is the name of the book, Courage to be Disliked. And then it's a Japanese book written by Ichiro, can't say the last name. But that's what the first one is, Courage to be Disliked, amazing book. And then there's a part 2 to it. So you have to read that one first. The second one is Courage to be Happy, same author. So Courage to be Disliked, second book, about 3 or 4 years later, they wrote, it was Courage to be Happy. Amazing. That's really more of a just you versus you book. It's a great listen if you do Audible. And then from there, okay, now we've reset. We really focused in internally first. Now we go to Atomic Habits. So James Clear. So that's a fantastic book to where now let's rebuild you. So Atomic Habits was a great book to now piggyback off of those 2. The third or the fourth one, especially for business owners, is Start with Why. So you're working on your habits, start with why. So now when you're building out a business plan and you're really wanting to say, all right, what got me here might not get me there. So when we start evolving and talking about our business and what we want it to be here over the next 3, 5 years, 10 years plus, the Start with Why by Simon Sinek is such a good book of just talking about all these major companies of how they got to where they're at. Inspiring, but also really focuses in on some key things to do in an organization to get you going. And then the last one, I'm actually listening to it right now. And so originally this was not on the list. I actually removed the one, which is still a great book. It was called The Advantage. Patrick Lucioni or something like that was the 5th book, but I think this one's even better and I'm not even done with it. And so this one is called Traction, Get a Grip on Your Business. I believe the author is Gino Wickman. So Traction, Get a Grip on Your Business. This is like business entrepreneurship, mastermind one-on-one. It's fantastic. How to run a business. So that would be my 5. Has Patrice heard or listened to any of those?
Atomic Habits. I've got that on my bookshelf.
Have you listened to it?
I would read it.
Or how have you finished it?
I say it's sitting on my bookshelf. I haven't finished it.
I got you. Well, so I used to be the same way actually. So I literally until I started running, like I'd have these books, I'd read
Yeah.
maybe 40 pages worth, and then life happens. But when you have it on Audible and you can just listen, and so I'm doing these like 30-minute, hour-long runs, whatever it may be. I mean, I'm knocking out books within like 3 days now, and
Do you really listen to the book though? I mean, does it because you're running it? Don't you have a problem with concentration?
there's actually this is for me, so everybody's a little different,
Okay.
but for me, there's two things, um, because it's almost to where I feel like if I read it and if I listened to it, it would be received very similar. But I know for me personally, when I actually listen to it and my mind, I got 15 things in my head at one time always. So I like have to compartmentalize what's going on. So when I run, it actually helps me run longer because I'm not thinking about running. I'm
Okay.
just listening to the book.
That's
So I guess
fair.
that's helped me over time. But number two is sometimes when they start talking, especially in that book, because I've actually re-listened to that every year now. That's a new thing for me. So actually for Atomic Habits, they'll start talking, and then all of a sudden, like a really good habit or idea, and I'm like, golly, that's good. And I think about something that's going on in my life of like, man, I should do this and this. So then as I'm going on this like rabbit hole of what I should be doing, I probably do miss out on about 15 to 20 seconds of like what the purpose
Mm-hmm.
of saying that is. But I build it into my own stuff. So it's like I'm building and creating in my head of like, you know what, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Because all I needed was really just an idea. I just need an idea. And then now from there, I'm going to make it more Jeremyized. So I'm just going to
Sure.
run with
Sure.
it. And then by the time I finish my thought, then I come back to the book. And coincidentally, so far, unless I have to rewind it like 15 seconds, so then just simply just push a button. Usually when I finish my thought, it's like they're on to the next topic. I'm on to the next topic. So we kind of just sync back up. So it's not too challenging. It would be worth trying, especially because I know you do the working out stuff.
Yeah.
Because I completely don't listen to music anymore, and that's actually I think I've become a lot more efficient now that I don't listen to just music when I run. I listen to Audible books and podcasts.
That's an interesting take on how your mind processes that while you're running. That's
Yeah,
great.
but you don't have to. Like I said, it also you get. So I get to. I'm not dreading how hot it is outside because all of a sudden I'm actually into the book. And so, although I would have easily stopped today's run at 3 miles, I got 4.5 miles out of it because I was just in sync of like the book I'm listening to right now, which is
Mhm.
Traction, Get a Grip on Your Business. So Ibexus, your partner that is easy to do business with. When it comes to annuities, partner with the company that makes it easy. Ibexus brings you innovative and competitive products backed by an A- AM Best rating for strength you can count on. Ibexus has an exclusive limited distribution model which helps you stand out, and their 100% digital applications make business seamless. Access marketing materials on their website, no logins, no hassle, just everything you need right at your fingertips. With Ibexus, you get more than products. You get a responsive team, forward-thinking product strategies, and tools built for you. Check out www.ibexus.com to get to know the team a little bit more. Ibexus, easy to do business with, always.
In the past, this kind of brings me to the thoughts of delegation. You're kind of delegating your mind to different processes here. You take that idea, go over there, take this, and then I'll get back to the book. What about delegating? How does that fit into success? And got any examples?
Yeah, so they're, I mean, obviously, yes, absolutely. The top advisors, I'd say, the ones that are having a lot of success. I look at the team who's up 15% first quarter year over year from last year. Delegation is something that they have done a really good job of. People that hired individuals in 2024, now they're actually seeing, I always forget this saying, the fruit of their loins or whatever. What's it called? What is it?
Kind of
Planting.
you reap what you sow type
Yeah,
of
there
thing.
you go.
Yeah,
That, or you put what's that? You put the seed in. You're now seeing it plant and grow.
right.
Anyways, so So for that, they're actually seeing the work now. So it's almost like freshman year was last year for a lot of those advisors that hired new staff members. They're coming into their sophomore year. So now they're really starting to hit a stride, get a little more confidence. And now processes are starting to be not just good, but maybe a little refined. They're educated enough to where like now they're putting their input into some ideas to maybe just make things work more efficiently. So now a real team is being built. And so, and not just last year, previous years, I've had one of my guys in the last, since 2021, went from in 2022 hiring his first 2 staff members to where we sit today. He's up to 19 people on his team. Now that's like world domination enterprise, which we can actually help coach to and do all of that. But a lot of the advisors we work with, they're more so like one woman, one man shop, just hired their first assistant. So we got our first assistant. Now we're going to hire a second person to just continue on that below the line activities, get that off of this person's plate, put it on this person's plate. So that's majority of what those advisors are doing really well. Is just figuring out, what drives revenue to our organization. And then from there, if it's not driving revenue to the organization, then that advisor, there is no reason whatsoever that they need their hands on that. So they need to hire somebody to take care of that work, help offload that somewhere else, train them, leverage our staff members. So our team, we do trainings. We have staff members that help train staff members as well. So it's not just 100% dependent on the advisor to get those assistant or advisor services people up to speed. So, but no, delegation, I can't say enough. That's definitely something. And, we're in playoff time for, at least while we're recording this. I just started watching basketball again a little bit this year, but
the Knicks aren't in it.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting I'm sure this is something they talk about. And I'm literally coming from somebody who I did sports my whole life, used to watch all this stuff up until about 2020, 2021, and then realized, wasted a lot of time getting into all that. But for moving forward, watching this, so what is it? The Thunder and the Pacers. So not like
yeah.
So probably ratings aren't going to be the best. Although one thing that I actually noticed, so I kind of look at it differently now, is the 2 teams that are playing. So the most important part of those teams, so their best player, one would say, and it'd be a pretty strong argument for both teams, they're point guards. So Tyrese Halliburton, and then you got SGA with the Thunder. So those people are known as the floor generals. So playing basketball, the floor general, just delegation. So bringing the ball up, calling the play, starting the play off, getting it to where you need it to go. But both of those individuals, which makes them unique, is so they can control the game. They have the ball usually in their hands, majority of it, which is rightfully so as the point guard. But they also are scorers. So they know when they need to make a play, they're going to go get it done and make the play for the team. But they also know based off feel and based off the play and how things are going in the game, who else might have a hot hand or who do we need to get the ball to? So they're delegating. They are literally just out there. They know when their numbers needs to be called because they can call it themselves, or they're going to hand it off to somebody else who needs to make a play. And it's the same thing as a business. It's like the advisors that we work with, they're just point guards. If the really good teams, they're point guards. They know that they need to focus on sales. They need to be there to make sure that whatever their team does to help them on the marketing stance, get individuals into the door, provide podcast episodes, provide all this different content to build up that advisor as the point guard, to build them up as like, this is the person you need to meet with. They need to knock out the shot. So they need to make sure to complete the play. And so once the advisors are starting to elevate their game to just only really focusing on what they're good at, which is doing the sales work, and possibly, some advisors are unique. They can actually do some marketing too. So they're putting themselves out there. They're doing social media. They're conducting videos. They're doing podcast episodes. They're putting things in place to where they can multiply what they're currently doing and saying, so their team can go leverage that content elsewhere, because now you've removed the advisor to physically have to be in one spot. Mm-hmm. You can put them out there all across the echo chambers of different websites. And it's interesting because those are the ones that start having the confidence, start leveraging video, start leveraging different things. I think those are some of the great ways that really good advisors, similar to these point guards who are in the NBA finals now, that's just what separates great advisors from just good advisors. They know when they need to be a part of something and when they need to delegate it out. So they also, I mean, also when it comes to, so just for example, and make sure not just saying when you got to hit the shot, you hit the shot, but sometimes you miss. So Patrice, how often do you think, do you ever use Yelp?
I don't really know. I mean, I'll look at the reviews, but I don't really.
But you know what Yelp is,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
And the only reason I ask that is like sometimes most people know what Yelp is.
I think so.
And so like, I mean, we use it too much. So it's in order to, if you were to go eat somewhere or if you want like to list it out. So same thing for like advisors. How often do you think people actually write when they have a great experience on Yelp?
Well, I think statistically, usually isn't it a negative experience that you write about, not so much the positive, but the positive can carry so much more weight.
Correct. And that's where, I think the numbers like I saw it was like a study or something. It was like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I heard it for the first time and I was like, that's very interesting because people will go to like those sites or go out of their way. If they have a negative experience, they will go the extra mile and make sure that they're going to bash whatever it is. So it's like 10 times more than what just having one positive experience is. So it's very easy and it's very challenging for an advisory firm to where you can do so much good out there. But if you just have one bad experience, the odds are 10 times more that they're going to probably put something bad about your organization. So you just gotta, be mindful. You gotta be conscious of that. And when good things are happening, celebrate those, but also get those individuals to put information out there. Let them know like, hey, what do you think of our firm? Refer us to somebody else. Hey, it's like, don't be shy to make sure when they're having good experiences to try to get them and push them to possibly put your firm in a better spot. So individuals know like, oh no, this is a great firm. So when all of a sudden they go to different websites, Google reviews or wherever, they're just seeing only the negatives. But at the end of the day, people are more inclined to do that. So you got to nudge your clients to put positive stuff out there.
Now, you were talking about confidence, the point guards. And by the way, come the fall, I'll bet you'll be calling them quarterbacks and not point guards, right? Just the sports season. But you were talking about confidence. How confident are your advisors when it comes to technology? And here you're talking about Yelp, you're talking about reviews. They are going to be online, but how comfortable are your advisors with technology? Do they feel as if they've mastered it?
I think they're well, it's a phrase I've said a lot over the last year. They're trending in the right direction. So for whatever that means for each of them, it's tough. It goes back to delegation. A lot of our advisors, we hire younger people to help out, especially in the social media realm or recording, not just recording videos, but doing all the editing, putting together the content. So advisors shouldn't be doing that. Now they should be recording the video. So making time. Now what's important for an advisor. So here's like a little, I guess, free tip is some of the best offices that we work with, what they'll do, and even I do this. So we block out a certain time frame on a weekly basis on our calendar. So it's 90 minutes or so, or call it a minute, or call it an hour or 90 minutes. And so that's like your time. So throughout the week, it could be a morning, whatever day works best with your family life and also business life. So that is what we would call your content creation. Or if you have nothing that you're going to be recording or you don't need all of those 90 minutes, that also gives you a little gap in your calendar to where people can go ahead and, let's say that prospect that couldn't meet with you last week, all of a sudden they're like, hey, do you have any availability for me? The advisor at least has the opportunity to put them in there. So that's just a little tip that actually has helped a lot of advisors of just calendaring. But when it comes to the tech part of it, so during that time frame, like it's on their calendar. So therefore, if it's on their calendar, it will happen. So if they have additional people on staff, it gives them free reins to come in there with that camera or come in there and say, okay, what are we recording today? Or give me some ideas. What should I be talking about? And so that's why AMP Assist, we started rolling this out earlier this year for 2025. It's been pretty beneficial because now they're actually hearing from our team. We're training those staff members how some of the best practices that advisors are doing. But we're also sharing some of those tools because continuously there's always something every month, which doing this call now for the last 6 months now, every single month there's a new tool. There's a new tool. And it's more of awareness about a tool, but not just awareness about a tool, but like, hey, this is how you should use it. And by the way, here's an example of what you can do to do it. So it's actual homework from those calls. And we've seen some advisors that not only are using these tools and having some good success with it, you can just tell they're getting a little more confidence because now it's becoming consistent. It becomes like a habit to where now they have it on a weekly basis. They're doing their recordings. They're putting themselves out there. Then all of a sudden, their Facebook page is getting double, triple, quadruple the engagement than what it was last year. You're getting people that you just want to make sure your brand is consistently out there because at the end of the day, especially in retirement planning, people aren't just buying the product. They're buying whatever's proprietary about you, which is obviously the person, but also anything that's proprietary with your process, your system. So advisors who are really focusing on the things that make them different and proprietary, they're using their time and effort towards those things, and then they're delegating everything else to someone else. Advisors in 2025 are looking to grow, scale, and capitalize on their business through systems and processes that have been proven by other entrepreneurial advisors here over the years. And here at Simplicity and SureMark, we've made it very easy for advisors, providing our one-pager. That one-pager is titled AMP Path to Prosperity. A couple of check boxes in order to talk about the systems and processes that entrepreneurial advisors are leveraging in their business to help them not only what sells for them when they're not there, but also take tasks off of their plate by delegation and plugging in to some of the financial technology that's offered today to make their business more efficient. So if you would like our one pager and you would like to fill that information out, make sure to check out insuremarkamp.com/Jeremy and click on Learn More for our AMP Path to Prosperity.
And what I love about the stuff that you put out there is it's never dull. It's different. You try and push the boundaries. You come up with new ideas. You stretch it. You try something new. Do you find your advisors doing that?
They do. Well, not all, but yes,
It takes time. It takes time. You've got to get comfortable.
And it's also accountability too. So like once you start doing something, it's like, oh, there goes Jeremy. And then if it's a month, 2 weeks goes by, a month goes in, and then it's like, man, yeah, he's not doing that anymore. So either that didn't work or he's just not consistent. So yeah, you have to be very thoughtful too. So like when you're putting together an idea or you're doing something and especially if you're going to do it into like social media world, that thing's living out there. So it can be nerve-wracking at first, but once you get going and just like, if you are who you are and you're not, you want to be who you are. Whoever, don't try to like fake something that obviously that becomes a lot more easier to end up falling into a catastrophic 2 months later, all of a sudden, like, yeah, it just falls apart. You're not doing it anymore. Don't fake who you are. Be yourself, be authentic. And I think the accountability though, too, is like, okay, you have people that are watching what you're doing, but most importantly, like that's a good thing. That's the whole purpose of it. You're building a brand, you're building awareness of what's going on. A lot of advisors, they're busy. As entrepreneur advisors, they're running a business, but they're also like, they're keeping their name and face out there because they have a lot of events that are coming up. They have things where people can be invited to come see them. So they got to not just be out there consistently, but it's a great way to where once individuals are actually following that advisor on any social media platform, and then so it's majority personal life, what's going on. Here's business, some tips here and there, education. And by the way, here we have an event that's coming up at your local restaurant in 3 weeks from now. if you're interested, feel free to come there. And then it's not necessarily, they've seen that type of marketing for years now, but they've almost earned the right and built that trust and credibility to where it's like, you know what? I've always been interested about that topic, but I want to learn from that topic from that guy because I actually get it. But no, to your first point, it's kind of nerve wracking at first of just trying to be consistent, and I can't express that enough. And that goes back to the books. So that's why you got to be in the right headspace and mindset as the business owner, entrepreneur, in order to go on these endeavors. And then, especially if you're bringing people along the way, hiring staff members, and you got to give them work to do. So, got to be creative though, because you know what it's literally every single month something's changing, and you got to be able and be open to change, because if you don't, then the industry will just leave you behind. So,
Well, I'll tell you, as we wrap this up, is there anything we haven't covered that you want to make sure we do? I think you've handed out a lot of good talking points, some things to be very thoughtful about, and calls to action.
there are a couple. Well, there's actually a couple things. I know for one, I would say one of the things where we talk a lot about of marketing. So we talk a little bit about marketing, and one thing that has been interesting over the last couple of, I'd say, really the last 6 months to a year, is there's actually some firms where advisors were paying this type of account. So there's actual marketing groups where, and they do great work, but just like putting together some content. So advisors, to go into your question of like, how do they keep up with different technology and putting themselves out there more? And there's some great third-party groups, but they're expensive. It's like $4,000 a month. And what you get for that is we'll run your social media, but we'll also go ahead and we'll create short clips of you. You just got to send us videos. You got to do this, that, the other. But I mean, that's 48 grand. And I mean, at the end of the day, you get maybe 2 posts a week, and you're doing all this effort, it seems like. And talking about change, so like the evolution of AI and technology, I was on our last mastermind call and I was sharing some of just like the AI tools. And I'm not a huge AI person, but it can, if you use it the right way, it's just a great way to be efficient. And I'm actually going to have an expert on to talk about how incorporating AI is going to help enhance the multiple of your business as well too. So we were talking, and it's crazy. So like the same type of 8 clips that a firm would charge $4,000 for, do you know how much just an app to actually do the same type of marketing for you? Do you know how much that app is for a year?
It could be free for all I know.
Actually, there is a free version.
Okay.
There is a free version, but I always recommend like, hey, just go ahead, pay the upgrade, $300, literally $300. And so it's amazing. Like, so I tell these advisors, and I that's what we train to with Ibexus, is like, go out there, go record your advisor, take a couple of pictures of like their upcoming family vacation over summer, record the office a little bit, record their seminar. You upload 4 or 5 of those videos into this app, and all of a sudden you got a 15-30 second clip with some music behind it, and people love that. So they just literally get engagement of just seeing what's going on. It's lively. And that would have cost you literally per video, what, $500 per video?
Wow.
Isn't that something?
And
Like,
not only that, the more you do it, the more creative you will get.
mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
think of some of the things you could end up creating.
Yeah. It's amazing. I've actually, so some of the guys and girls that are actually doing some of these processes now that have been laid out, it's amazing to watch, like, because I follow them, they connect, and what they do is basically they'll connect with me on Instagram, LinkedIn. And so they'll see certain things throughout the month, because I'm always trying new stuff as well too. And then they'll like shoot me a message, and that's obviously they're part of the group. So they'll send me a message saying like, hey, what did you use for this? Or what did you do there? And so it's just like coaching them on that. And like, so where did that idea come from? Well, here's how the idea happened. So for this particular advisor, you should probably do on Tuesday, ask them this question, ask them this. get maybe 10 seconds of video from them. And so really just like going the extra mile for these advisors, because it all comes down to time, just trying to help them out, be more efficient. But I mean, it's not always rosy though, right? It's still like, so there's a lot of good things, a lot of good input here, but there's still challenges. Like, I mean, advisors, really the ones that are, some still struggle to do it. We talk about CAM a lot. We talk about 7 hours of content based off of that study, the change activation model. So they're trying to build out 7 hours of content. They're trying to put processes in place to where they have 4 different formats. But if you're not leveraging AI and using some of the tools that we talk about on Ibexus, I mean, have you actually, Patrice, have you ever used perplexity.ai?
Perplexity? No, that's a new one.
We'll write that down. I feel like I'm actually talking to an advisor now. So
Got it.
perplexity.ai. Pretty incredible stuff. So I actually ended up doing this, and if you want a copy, just reach out. I'll send it to you. So on our last mastermind call, I talked about perplexity.ai. So I shared this with our team of advisor services. So those advisors like marketing coordinators or assistants, I shared this with them on our first call back in December. And so I brought it back up, and some of them are starting to use it. And it's literally like Chat GPT, but, and I've never used Chat GPT, so it probably works very similar. But literally you can just write like 2 or 3 questions, and within seconds, it puts together content for you that you can just copy and paste. So I actually typed in within perplexity.ai, I just typed in, who is Jeremy Hauser in Houston? So there it is. And I was like, man, pretty spot on. Houston, Texas, graduated from St. Edwards. And then it started working in the financial service industry in 2011. Like, so it starts saying all this stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, well, so I asked the question then from there, I said, that's pretty good. So who would be the right person to listen to the Advisor Mentorship podcast? I asked the question there. Unbelievable what that shot back. And then it actually said some of the people that I had on the show, and this is why I'd be interested for financial advisors. And I was like, man. So literally, I just wrote 2 questions. This took me 25 seconds?
Right.
So I took all that content. I then threw it into one of these other AI tools where it's just a template. So I just put together an ebook. It's 12 pages. So what I actually share with the advisors on the call, I was like, hey, so this is what Advisor Mentorship Program is. And then here's a little bit about the podcast. And I'll send it to you, Patrice.
Yeah,
so,
do that,
I mean,
please.
it took me 35 minutes to basically just copy, paste, put it into the template. And just like that, it's like I have an actual brochure of what we are.
Wow.
And that in the past has cost people hundreds of thousands of dollars to do, right?
But did it have your Nobel Prize in there?
It did. It literally. And you know what? I misspelt it. So yeah, so I had compliance came back and told me to fix it. but yeah, no, it's pretty good. So anyways, all that to say, got to leverage systems, leverage processes, AI tools. And then if actually you want to see that ebook and the tools that we're using for that, feel free to reach out. More than happy to share that insight, because I'm sure next month there's going to be an even better tool that's created. So there you go.
Jeremy, this has been a lot of fun. And as I said at the beginning of the episode, Jeremy's podcast is always informative and it's always practical too. So be sure to follow the Advisor Mentorship Podcast. That way you won't miss out on a new show. And of course, share it with others. They will be so jealous. I'm Patrice Sikora, and thanks for being with us.